Hi guys, this is R.A. Sweeney here to talk to you about another passage from the book Praying with the Gospel Accounts as part of the Praying with the Bible series. Today I wanted to talk to you about a passage where the disciples had been picking some heads of grain on the Sabbath and started to get in some trouble there. So in this passage, they are walking along on the Sabbath, and they get hungry, and they just pick some of the grain that's on the side of the field, um, and start eating some of that grain. So if you really know your Torah laws, you know that you're not allowed to harvest on Sabbath. That's one of the things that's really frowned upon. And so they start getting accused by some of the religious leaders, the Pharisees and different groups, start coming after him because, why are your disciples doing this? Um, and it's really kind of an interesting passage, I feel like, because if you know the story, or really know the accounts of the gospel much at all, the Pharisees get a really bad rap, and I think they probably should. They're meant to be a group that had things a little bit wrong, and so I think that we are supposed to be a little critical of them, but at the same time, it's interesting how they're portrayed here because they saw something that they couldn't reconcile. Hey, this guy's supposed to be a religious leader. He's supposed to be a good, faithful Jewish man trying to lead these other Jewish men in fulfilling the Jewish Torah. But yet, why are they doing this? Um, and so it doesn't say Jesus was picking grain. It says that the disciples were. But yet the religious leaders don't go to the disciples. They go to Jesus and they ask him, why? Why is this happening? Why are they doing what is not right to do on the Sabbath? Um, which, honestly, that's a fair question, right? They had been raised in a worldview where this was the right way, and what you guys are doing is not the right way. In fact, it's the wrong way. And you think about, based on how the Jewish people had enforced some of these rules, they went pretty mild with it. I mean, if they would have stoned the disciples right there, it would not have been without precedent. God actually commanded that a man be killed because he was picking up firewood on the Sabbath. Um, so to stone someone for breaking the Sabbath wouldn't be without precedent. But they didn't do that. They just came and uh, they were just like, "Hey, Jesus, we see that this is what's going on. It doesn't seem to jive at all with what we know. And so, what's the deal here?" And really, what better response could you even ask for? I mean, they didn't get it, and so they went to the one who does, and they asked. And so I think there's so many good applications for this in our prayer lives because, we're going to come from different faith traditions. And I am a firm believer that not one of those faith traditions has everything exactly right. And so we're going to be raised in traditions. We're going to be raised with ideas and doctrines. And some of those things aren't going to make sense. And I'm not saying we drop them or we drop that faith tradition, but I'm saying there's things that aren't going to make sense. And so when we come to those moments to come to Jesus and say, hey, this is the tradition that I was raised in. And here's even in the scriptures, maybe where I see that supported. But it doesn't make sense with what I'm seeing and what I've always known to be true. So can you help me understand? And so I thought that was a really, really interesting way that this story gets portrayed as these Pharisees who you think of are typically the worst of the worst in these stories. They come and they get it exactly right. They see something they don't understand. They can't reconcile it with what they have always known to be true. And they asked God, how do we reconcile these things? So that's what I wrote about for this passage. I hope it was a blessing. Hope that we can take that and do likewise. So thanks, guys, and we'll see you next time.